And that's why we're working in the UK on something called this Great Transition. And what we're trying to do is take all these ideas, put them together in a compelling story. We're starting off, and if you go to our website, which is www.neweconomics.org, www.neweconomics.org, or one word, New Economics, you can see this report, The Great Transition, and download it for free. And it starts off for a vision of how things turned out all right. It looks at 2050 and it shows a society that's a bit like I'm describing. And then it works backwards to how we get there. And what we're trying to do is put this all together and tell a compelling human story about what we want. And what we're also showing is also the economics. So we're showing the economists how you can do that. And we're doing the first ever economic model that starts from ecological limits and works back the other way. That's the nerdy bit. But we're trying to tell the human story. And what we're trying to do is campaign not just with civil society, but with faith groups, with arts organisations. We're looking at a festival transition that is going to involve almost every arts organisation in the UK later this year, if we can pull it off. Businesses, because right through society there's people that know things are wrong and want to change it. So it's about harnessing everybody. It's not about singing exactly the same tune, and playing the same instrument. 1,000 million tubas would be not great. You might get a bit fed up with tubas. But if we can play our different instruments in one orchestra to one score, then maybe we can create something harmonious. And that's what we're about. And that's why we have focused our work on the Great Transition. And that's why one of the reasons I'm over here, as well as coming up and talking about what's happening here and learning about what's happening here, is because we are working to create something called the New Economics Institute here in America, which is a partnership with that organization in Western Mass, the Schumacher Society, which is aiming to set up something like the New Economics Foundation in London here. And that will be a think, do and communicate tank. God, that sounds even worse, doesn't it? But it will be doing really good research, doing practical stuff with all sorts of people like you here, and communicating, telling the new story in a way that resonates at the national level. So that's what we're about. That's why I'm here. And we've got a great group of trustees. We've got free offices on Madison Avenue, with a great view of the Empire State Building. And we're now trying to get the money for a director and to get that thing going, because we're going to try and be at the heart of the system and tell a different story. So that's what we're doing here. But let me come back to you. And I've talked far too much, and apologies. But the critical thing is, this isn't about an organisation in London. It isn't about an organisation that we're hoping to set up here in New Economics Institute. They're part of the story. But the real story is about yourselves. Because the critical thing I want you to take away tonight is that we all have far much more power than we realise, especially if we work together. So you can do things here in your own community in whatever way, and you don't need to have money to do that. You've got time. If you've got time, you can do something. You can buy very differently. And one of the things that really strikes me, and I get a chance to talk to CEOs of big multinationals, how worried they are about that people will change what they do. They'll buy differently. And some of the best ones are planning to do things differently. They're planning to sell less stuff and more services, and that's probably very wise. But they aren't all powerful. They're very dependent on how we use our dollar or our pound. And then the other thing you've got is a voice. And everybody's voice counts. That's again independent of how much wealth we've got. So we've got right here your time, your voice, your own purchasing power, the wealth you've got in all sorts of ways. And we've got the chance to go out and create something very different if enough of us work together. And that's my plea to you is, A, do not despair. As I've said before, the hour before dawn can sometimes seem the bleakest and coldest. There will be change, and that change is in our hands. And secondly, believe it's really possible. It is possible. and it's up to all of us to create it. And if enough of us dream the impossible, we can make that impossible possible. So thank you very much.